Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna. I hope that you're having an amazing day, and sorry again for not posting last weekend. Honestly, it's the holidays here, and even though I'm not in America, somehow I'm having more Friendsgivings here than I did in America. So I'm filming this actually on Thanksgiving, so happy belated Thanksgiving for those watching. But as you can tell by the title of this video, I wanted to get into some of the differences and some similarities that I've experienced living here in South Korea as an English teacher and how the style varies here to America. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely please keep on watching. So I have been here in South Korea for almost a year. Actually, this time next week. So December 5th, I will be signing my renewal papers. I have gotten my medical checkup. I have, checked all the boxes that I needed to check in order to renew for one more year here in Daejeon, and I'm very excited and so thankful that my school wanted to keep me on for another year. I don't take any of this for granted. However, I did wanted to kind of piggyback off of an answer that I left in one of the comments in my last video when one of my subscribers or viewer asked me to get kind of more in detail about what the workload is like and essentially just like a little bit more about what I had talked about in my last video. So one of the things that I wanted to immediately bring up is the fact that the workload is 10 times less here in South Korea, and I don't know if it would lessen if I was only teaching one subject versus multiple. I was an elementary school, early childhood kind of major teacher back in America, and with that being said, in early childhood and elementary school, you teach every subject. So you teach reading, writing, math, science, even health. You're teaching it all basically, and you're with them all day. It changes a little bit as you go up in grades. So I think 5th grade is when you start departmentalizing the subjects. So you'll have an English class, you'll have a math class, and then you'll just rotate the different homerooms in each grade. And then obviously in middle school and high school, that's how it is as well. However, here in South Korea, it does stay the same in terms of like early childhood, elementary school. You are with the same homeroom teacher. However, because I'm a subject teacher, just like gym or art, I essentially am teaching each grade kind of not the same lesson, but I rotate different classes, and I'm not teaching any other subject. It is so hard to talk today. So essentially I'm teaching 4th grade a group of lessons, 5th grade a group of lessons, 6th grade a group of lessons, which makes it a lot easier on me instead of planning out, I don't know, like 30 different lessons because I have to teach 5 days a week and there's like 6 different subjects. Instead of doing 30 different lessons, I'm essentially planning 3. And it really does make a huge difference in the amount of stress and just in general the amount of work that I have to get done in a work week. So the workload is 10 times less here. So not only am I only teaching about 3 lessons to 4 lessons a week in terms of like different lessons, I am also not responsible to grade any work. I do not give out tests. I don't have to hold parent-teacher conferences. There's a multitude of odd jobs that goes with being an educator in America that I don't have to do, different responsibilities that I don't have simply because of the nature of my job. I am a foreigner here. It is not a requirement for you to be like fluent in Korean, and therefore it kind of opts me out of doing a lot of the work essentially. And on top of that, English in Korea is not like a grade you get. I believe it's pass or fail. So truthfully, it's up to my co-teacher to give them any type of marks. I don't really do any of that. I essentially come in every day, teach a lesson, kind of do a little informal assessment, check in with them, review some things, and I feel like the bulk of the English learning really does come from the Korean teachers, and on top of that, the after-school private tutoring that they may do, which is called Hagwon here in Korea. So if you didn't know, if you're not a teacher in the States, you do get, I believe if you're not tenured, you get you get 3 to 4 evaluations in the year, and those play into whether or not you're going to be offered another contract in the next year. Versus here, it's a student evaluation and a kind of evaluation through which your principal, vice principal will observe you and give you a score, essentially, and then you evaluate yourself. It doesn't really work like that here, which in some ways is good and in some ways is bad, because obviously teachers who maybe aren't putting as much effort or are not as effective as they could be are staying here. Don't know if I'm included in that, but it's something that I've thought about. But the workload, there's no grading, and just essentially the nature of how you are able to check in on your own skills and how well or effective you are in the classroom is almost non-existent here, which is a little frustrating, like I mentioned, but also a little bit of a breather, because if you are a teacher in America, then you know exactly that feeling of what it's like to be evaluated. You can be 10 years in the game and still kind of nervous. So yeah. Now, another thing that is very different from America is the hours. So I know plenty of teachers, I can include myself in this, where you went in maybe about an hour to half an hour early to set up, get ready for the day, kind of breathe into your classroom, and then you tend to stay maybe an hour or two post school, the last bell ringing, right? You don't get paid for any of those hours. Versus here in South Korea, I have to be at school by 8:30, give or take. We'll use that give or take very loosely because people walk in like 5 minutes later. Nobody really bats an eyelash because technically periods don't start until 8:50. So at 8:50 is first period, and I believe most days I have a first period except for Monday, and then I teach until lunchtime unless I have a prep somewhere in between, and lunchtime is at 12:10. From 12:10 to 1:10 it is lunch. That's a full hour of lunch, okay? And it goes by just exactly how you'd want a lunch hour to go by. It is smooth. It is a nice little teeny tiny break. It is not rushed. There's no students I have to go and pick up, as I would have to do in America, where I would say maybe half of my lunch period was put towards picking up my students and dropping them off. And then I'd have to run back, warm up my food, gobble it down, and by that time kind of have to make my way over. Here, I don't know why, but the lunch hour just is so smooth. If I have a 5th period class, which most days I do, I teach from 1:10 to about 1:50, and I'm done. I'm essentially done for the day. So by 2 o'clock on most days, I am done teaching. Now, I do have to stay at school until 4:30. From 2 to 4:30, I can use that free time how I may. Sometimes I watch a little bit of Netflix to relax my brain a bit and then get into some work, or sometimes I'm working the whole time, or sometimes I am so done and ahead of the game that I literally just kind of shoot the breeze until it's time to go home. It depends on the season and the time of the year. So the hours are different. 8:30 I have to be in, 4:30 I'm out, and I never stay past the bell. I do come about half an hour early to work out of my own choosing, because I do like that time to kind of settle into the day. But overall, I'm not staying later than 4:30, and I don't mind kind of reviewing my lessons upon arrival at home. But if I wanted to be diligent enough, I definitely would be done planning every day. I would never have to do work at home. Okay, the third difference that I want to point out, or major difference I want to point out, is the style here. So in America, I find that we've really moved away from rote memorization, right? This kind of listen and repeat, have this structure just completely memorized but not knowing the why. We've kind of strayed away from that, especially nowadays. We also want to provide students with more ways to approach problem solving, and for them to kind of have their own, essentially like to capitalize on their individual thinking. And American style is a lot more abstract in terms of questioning and what it is we're looking for in terms of essays and things like that. I would say it's a lot more open-ended. I hope that's making sense. Versus here in Korea, I find it is a lot more focused on rote memorization. At least English class is. However, overall, I will say that the style is more focused on there is one right answer, this is the answer, this is how you do it, and that is that. There's no other way to it. Versus in America, I find that there are a lot more strategies provided for students in order to get essentially the same answer, just in a way that works better for them. Here, it's a lot more, this is the way, this is how you do it, and that's that, no questioning it. And that kind of stretches out into society as well. It is a very homogenized society, and with that, I think it comes a very homogenized style and way of thinking. It all kind of ties in together. I almost just said Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's not what I mean. Bloom's taxonomy, you want to be able to reach these higher level questions. So if you don't know Bloom's taxonomy, I have it written here so that way I don't mess it up. Essentially, you're starting with understand, you start with remember, you move to understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create, right? There's 6 different levels. The highest level is create. It means you're able to use the knowledge that you've gained in order to either create a whole new product or essentially end product, yes. If you're able to teach it to someone, that means you have fully mastered it. You want to have this mastery of the lesson. And that's essentially how teachers know that they did their job. But what I find is that I end up staying on the first 2, which is remember and understand. I rarely ever get to do questions or any type of assignment where I'm touching upon the higher levels, and that's just simply because the style of teaching English here is very much rote memorization. There's a key expression, there are key vocabulary words, you listen and repeat, listen and repeat, listen and repeat, review, and that's it. But what I'm finding is that when I try to question them with more open-ended responses, or questions that stray outside of the lesson, but you still are able to use these kind of expressions and tools, they get lost. And it's just simply because they're not understanding the way that the words are applicable to different situations other than the ones given in the lesson. So it's something that I'm trying to work on and find a way to kind of hack that system. The memorization here is something super frustrating. Similarities, obviously there's a curriculum, and if you've had a scripted curriculum in America, then you'll definitely be comfortable with the scripted curriculum here in Korea, because I find that all of them are quite scripted and everything you have to say is laid out for you. There's no really, there's no variety, I want to say, or freedom to kind of stray from the book. My school at least is very much by the book. So if that's something that you're used to or something that you absolutely hate, just be aware of that here in South Korea. You're definitely going to have to follow the book. Most likely going to have a scripted curriculum. I'm sorry. But okay, I feel like I've rambled on long enough. I really hope that you got some information. But moving back to America and teaching in America will definitely be a little bit more of an adjustment in terms of bringing back stations and things that are very much a part of the American school system that I find is not necessarily a part of it here. So if you have any more questions in regard to differences or similarities in South Korea versus America, definitely leave them down below, and I look forward to hearing from your comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I believe the next video is going to be a fun little vlog because I'm going to Kangwon tomorrow to visit my friend for Friendsgiving, so keep your eyes out for that. Thank you so much for watching through to the end. Remember to press that red subscription button down below, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!